like, well, like if you would have
Well,
hired
no,
that
here's the
other
thing
guy.
though. I don't think Trump is like prioritizing right. He honestly should have been on
No.
focusing. Like he tackles affordability, but he's not tackling it hard enough. Because honestly, that's like the main concern of the American people. Like, honestly, if he was tackling affordability head on, like housing costs then went down, mortgage rate then went down, everything then went down across the board, all good markers. I'm gonna be real with you. The Epstein files, people really wouldn't be able to hit him as hard. I'm be so
Unfortunately,
honest with you. A lot of people
unfortunately,
would have
said.
just been like, dog, look, my groceries went down by $200. I cannot complain.
So here's the thing, though. You won't. That's the unfortunate thing about when you have bad inflation like that. The only way to get to pre-inflationary prices is to have a recession,
or to dramatically raise income. But I mean, either one will come.
You got to. If you dramatically raise income, you're just going to have a recession later, or inflation later. It's unfortunate.
We're not talking about like, hold on now, like having people getting paid more for their services, or just dumping money to subsidize so people can get paid more.
If the economy raises people's wages, which it is, like I'm a prime example of that. My wages have gone up roughly 70 to 80% just in the
wages
drop.
Across the board went up by about 0.4% in January. So,
but is that because people are working more, or people are working less and getting paid more? There's a lot of aspects that kind of go into that.
Or maybe paying a little bit more. You're right. There is like an ABC, well, maybe in all the above type of answer you can give.
And I don't think I unfortunately I'm a little bit more pessimistic to the idea that one guy can come in and fix that. Like, it's kind of,
I wouldn't say one guy. I would say, because think about it, we say it's one guy, but honestly, it's Trump's whole financial team, like him, Scott Bessent, Lutnick, Jameson Greer, his trade representative. Like, he got a lot of people in his circle when it comes to his financial plan. So I just don't look at Trump for that. I also look at Scott Bessent and the rest of them for what they're also doing as well. But, well, Monty, you still there? Well, all right, though. Let's go ahead and get right back to it.
I want to turn now to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was in the chamber tonight listening to the president deliver his State of the Union address. Secretary Bessent, thank you so much for staying up late with us. We really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. Get your reaction to everything we just heard. In the run up to this speech, I spoke with a number of Republicans who say they wanted to hear President Trump express his empathy for Americans who don't feel like the economy is working for them yet. We heard the president say that the economy is roaring. Do you think that he expressed empathy for those Americans who say they are still struggling?
Kristen, I can tell you the president never stops working for the American people. And I
would ask her, shoot, does the Democratic politicians show empathy towards their constituents? Because they wouldn't be raising like taxes. They wouldn't be adding gas tax. They wouldn't be raising property tax. They wouldn't be doing any of that if they actually cared about the affordability crisis that your everyday American go through. So I would have to ask her that, because the president, he's already doing all he can. He can't do anything if these Democratic states and cities are raising taxes. It's like, we can't really help y'all. And what? They'll sit there and blame tariffs and all that wild stuff, which, trust me, the numbers aren't there to say that tariffs get passed down straight to y'all, especially in a high number. But you might want to check your, local taxes. That might be where it's at. Especially for you blue states.
He made the point that he has brought down prices. He has brought down mortgage rates, the large tax cuts. I'm also the IRS commissioner. I can tell you that 47% of the returns we're getting, Kristen, have one of his 4 signature policies: no tax and tips, no tax and overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So Americans are feeling that. And I think we will see, we're going to have very large refunds, and Americans will change their withholding. And I think that they are going to see it. We saw a big jump way above expectations and consumer confidence today. And Chris, the important thing was it's in the forward expectations. So if the Democrats want to run on the economy in November, bring it on, because I think we're going to have a great economy this year. We had a great economy last year.
That's what I'm saying. The Dems could sit there and cry about affordability and the economy all they want. Right now, the economy got good markers. And if it continue that all the way to November, I mean, they're not going to have much of an argument. I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, Trump could F it all up. Of course, we'll get getting into it with Iran, which I hope he doesn't do, because right now the economy got good markers, and that could all be taken away if we get into it or to something, a drawn out conflict with Iran.
Would have been great if it weren't for the Democratic shutdown.
Well, and as you know, some prices have come down. Some prices, some groceries, for example, have gone back up. And if you look at the polling, the president's underwater on his handling of the economy, that critical issue. So what do you say to Americans who argue they're not feeling change fast enough?
Well, again, Kristen, the president's numbers have been improving since October. Prices are coming down, and I think we are going to see an acceleration here. We've had real wage gains every month since the president's been in office. And again, of course, Americans are traumatized. They had a 21.5%. The cost of living increase in the Biden administration, more for working Americans. That was probably north of 30, a loss of the 3 or 4% in real purchasing power. Inflation was up 2.7% last year. I think it's going to come back down to the Fed's target this year. And we're working every day to bring it down.
Mr. Secretary, I have to ask you about this announcement that President Trump made. He said that the administration will give what he referred to as often forgotten American workers access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker, vowing, quote, "We will match your contributions up to $1,000 each year." Can you tell me from a practical standpoint, how will this work? Does it need congressional approval? And is that possible in this election year?
Well, we can do it through reconciliation. And again, this is the president coming back for working Americans, those who've been left behind, the ones who don't have the 401ks. Certainly the federal employees, Congress, get all these benefits, and we will be rolling that out in the coming weeks and months. The president wanted to preview it in his speech, but I think this is going to be a very big part of working Americans' retirement program, because there is a tremendous amount of financial insecurity. The president also talked about his signature policy, Trump accounts, $1,000 for every newborn born during his term that's going to be invested in the stock market. Kristen, currently 38% of Americans have no exposure to the equity market, and we think over time this is going to remedy that, so everybody will have a stake in our great innovative economy and the American dream.
All right, let me turn now to tariffs. Obviously, a number of questions swirling around what happens next after the Supreme Court did strike down the president's ability to impose the tariffs. Let me ask you.
No, Kristen, let's be precise here. What the Supreme Court did was rule against the president's ability to use a narrow mandate, i.e. EPA.
Yep.
It did not strike down the 232 or 301 tariffs, and it did not.
And I explained this extensively when the tariff ruling dropped, is that the Supreme Court didn't take away, yes, I did. Come on now. But the Supreme Court didn't take away his tariffing power. They took away one of the routes to which he can invoke tariffs through, which was IEPA, the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. They said that he could not invoke a tariff through that, but he could invoke 100% embargo if he wanted through IEPA. But if you want to, but now what this does is that now Trump has to change his strategy. He has to now start using sections of the Trade Act and the Trade Expansion Act, which he's already
where
started.
Did we see this before? Where did we see this before? Like in the 2020s, like when Biden said he was going to reduce everybody's student loan debt, and they said, no, you can't do that, and you found another way to do it.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But this time it's not unconstitutional. Here's the thing, though. Like, the Supreme Court literally said, yeah, this is the route you got to take. You got to start using the Trade Act and sections of there. And he has, well, honestly, he has more power under the Trade Act. I'm be real with you, it is kind of confusing why he didn't just go off the Section 122, give him the 150 days, because he could invoke global tariffs under that, and nobody could have said anything to him, which he
So
did already.
the reason he used the IEPA is because you can set those out into perpetuity, but they have to have a set range. With the Section C,
No,
like you
no,
can
no.
only do it for 150 days.
Yeah, no, but no, with the IEPA though, he was able to do. I think the reason why he used those because he was able to bring them up, like like with speed. Like he was able to
Yeah.
expedite the process of invoking the tariff through IEPA. Now that the courts took that away, like what they said was you can't charge a 1% tariff through this, but you could charge 100% embargo. So Trump's not trying to completely cut off a country, so he's going to actually have to go through the longer route, which is imposing the global tariffs. Which you're right, Section 122 does give him 150 days, and within those 150 days, he should be able to do the investigation work the investigation work that would allow him to invoke the tariffs under Section 301 and Section 232.
But now Congress and the Democrats have kind of lost the argument on tariffs, saying that it's going to increase prices. Which, I mean, you know that. I mean, I know that. We all fucking passed basic 9th grade civics and economics, but that heat of that problem. I mean, unless you're just a completely ill-informed voter and you just see that the prices haven't gone down at all, and Trump said, "I'm going to bring prices down," like they have lost that argument overwhelmingly because if you consider it, Set, think about it. Like our inflation is at 2.4%. If we have a nationwide tariff at 15%, shouldn't and consumers pay the difference? Shouldn't inflation just go up 15% for any foreign goods?
Yeah, actually, I said the same thing. I was like, bro, if the consumer price index would at least be up 5-10%.
Yeah,
But
because what is
it's
it? 80% of
0.4
our
though.
goods
It's
are imported.
0.7. So when they keep saying that, oh, it's a tax on the consumer, I'm just like, well, no, not really. It could be spread. It could be spread from the supplier to the importer.
It can be eaten up with profit margins.
Yeah. So like it kind of shows that they kind of been brainwashed into what tariffs are. But I'll be honest though, there is one thing that does concern me about the tariffs.
What?
The only thing that concerns me about the tariffs right now is that are we actually getting what we want, out of these countries? Like
I
China.
mean, you've seen how he does it, right? Like he'll say, "Oh, you're gonna get this tariff unless you do a trade deal with me and allow our exports." Because he uses it in 3 different ways, right? He uses it to balance trade, he uses it to force deals, and he uses it to solve issues. And or he uses it as a stick when he wants to give a carrot and stick. It's multifaceted. Anybody that's on this one track that tariffs are for this, he's not using them for that. He's being very unorthodox in the way he does things. And unless you understand that, it's understandable how they're confused.
Now, here's the thing, though. It's like in the logic behind, tariffs as a tax on the consumer is basically saying any tax you put on a business can be passed down to the consumer. And I mean, that's true, but then why would y'all trying to raise the corporate tax? That could have got passed down. Why are you steady raising property taxes when that could be passed down to the consumer as well? So like what Dems are pretty much saying is that maybe we should just stop taxing businesses and prices will fall. And I mean, that's a bad position.
Any entitlement given to the American people is a subsidy for corporations. Like, for example, Walmart is the biggest receiver of SNAP benefits. Any tax on a company does, and this is where the one track mind comes in. It does increase the price of goods because it increases the price of doing business, unless, and this is the key point, unless you can eat it with your profit margins and or demand lower pricing based off of the cost of the good.
Yeah, so, or overhead costs.
Or overhead costs. That's what I'm saying. If you can cut costs in other areas, you can still sell the same product for the same price.
But here's one major component. I mean, actually, you've knocked out almost every element of price control except for competition. Because a lot of
Yes.
people say, well,
Yes.
why would I
Yeah.
eat the cost if I'm a business owner? I'm like, well, if you're
Because
not
someone else will.
competitive market or industry, you have no
Yep.
choice.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing that prices go down, because when prices go down, when an American consumer or when an American manufacturer is like, okay, well, I can do, I might not be able to beat China on this doohickey, but with a 15% tariff, my product is only 10% more expensive, so I can sell it for 5% less than what the cost to the distributor would be. I can't do that, and that is a good thing, because that is how you protect American businesses. Um, it I mean, it's not just as cut and dry and as simple as that. Like, because economics is a very, very complex thing, and there's a whole lot of levers that go into it. And then when you increase the Federal Reserve and you put that in there, it makes it even more complicated.
But
But
let me show you this BS study, right? So let me show you this, because a lot of people quote this from the Kale Institute.
Mhm.
Now, America's own goal. Americans pay almost entirely for Trump's tariff. Contrary to the U.S. government rhetoric, the cost of U.S. import tariffs are not borne by foreign exporters. Instead, they hit the American economy itself. Importers and American consumers in the U.S. bear 96% of the tariff burden. Now, this is where this is misleading. No shit. We all know that tariffs are paid by the importer, aka an American company. Like,
yes,
duh. But what this forgot to mention is, okay, well, out of that 96% cost, which one is being taken on by the American firm and which one's actually being passed on to the American consumer? And you know how it don't tell you that, because it makes sense that 96% of tariffs are going to be paid by the importer. Why? Because that's who pays the tariff in the first place.
yes.
And the only time they can really save money on the tariffs is if the supplier lower their wholesale costs.
Yep.
And that's mainly it. I'm be real with you.
Which they will. Set. They absolutely will. We have examples of Brazil and China doing it. The CCP in China cutting costs to make it so that it's very, very similar to what they were paying before, which that's a time game. You just have to wait them out, and eventually they can't afford that anymore. But in the meantime, we're supporting investment in the United States and trying to reshore those jobs into America. And by the time that they break, they're no longer even relevant, which is a good thing. We want ourselves to be responsible for our own future. We don't want to rely on China for fucking doohickeys. Like, what the hell? What kind of, oh man.
Oh, I mean, no, here's the crazy thing is the fact that they said, oh, well, 96 goes to the U.S. customer. I'm like, y'all didn't even read the study correctly. And then here's the thing: if you're a good faith, if you're arguing with me in good faith about this, you would also admit, like, yeah, Seth, you're right. It doesn't differentiate between who's paying it. Is it the U.S. firms who's mostly paying it, or the U.S. customers? If you're honest, you would admit.
Let's put it this way: on its face, the American consumer is absolutely paying 100% of the tariffs. And bear with me here for a second. When it comes, like, no business is in business to lose money. So any cost of doing business, your cost of goods sold, your cost of doing business, all of those are like actual financial terms when you talk about economics. When your cost of doing business, when certain fixed or relative rates increase, you have to find pieces in other aspects of the business to offset it, because the last thing you want to do is actually raise the price to your consumer. But all of that is factored in. It's kind of like the concept when you say, oh, if I get an oil change, I get a free car wash. No, you didn't get a free car wash. You paid for the car wash because they assumed the price of the car wash in the oil change. And like, but
you know what's crazy?
imagine,
No, like also this too. Manufacturing tariffs have done wonder for manufacturing in like a lot of sectors. Even though we came out with like, what was it? We came out with like a negative 88 in manufacturing jobs. You know, a lot of people won't really be smart and it will like microscope that. Like, all right, well, did you look at what sectors actually grew in manufacturing? Which one was taking a hit? Exactly, bro. A lot of the auto industry grew, steel companies grew, all the industries that we want to grow in manufacturing grew. And then, of
And
course,
I
you know,
will say,
you had Amazon doing a very
yep.
crazy amount of layoffs last year.
I will say this, Set, and I'll give the Democrats, unintentionally created a new sector of the economy with all of their EV bullshit and all that fun shit. They completely pushed the American auto industry back into America. Why do I say that? Companies like Rivian, companies like Fisker went out of business, but companies like Scout, companies like Tesla, all of them are in America. Scout, it hasn't made a vehicle yet, but they have invested heavily into their facility in South Carolina. Rivian, I believe, is in Tennessee. Uh, Tesla's in Texas and in California and in Sparks, Nevada. Like all of those are jobs that did not exist in spite or like and it wasn't the intention of the Democrats to get a bunch of jobs here. It was just to sell an EV scam to people. But by them doing that, they forced manufacturers like Hyundai and Ford and GM to invest in America because that's where the shit needs to be done. But once that investment was made, they were going to reshore all that shit to China. Like once the actual like knowledge and stuff was there, we were gonna send it all overseas again. And
Damn.
like all of that shit, all of that is prosperity and progress for the American worker. Think about how many different jobs are created as a result of all of that shit. And is being encouraged and facilitated through this administration.
But all right, let's get back to it.
Strike down the 232 or 301 tariffs, and it did not strike down his ability to it actually reinforced his ability to move those up, and he has the ability to use something else called Section 122. So that's what the Supreme Court did on Friday. It was a very narrow ruling.
And it's my understanding that these new tariffs that he's imposed, he can impose them, the 15% tariffs that he announced over the weekend for 150 days. Given the legal challenges, given the Supreme Court ruling, why not go to Congress? Republicans have the majority in both chambers.
Oh my God.
Codify this in Congress.
Because you'll
again,
filibuster it and
Kristen,
require a supermajority.
Hold on.
You, the American people, have been misled. With the 232s and the 301s, Congress did give the president authority to put on tariffs. So
exactly. And this is the propaganda that the Dems are going to try to run, that, oh, Trump is being unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said he can no longer use tariffs, but he is anyway. No, dumbass. And then guess what? And through the Section 122 of the Trade Act, Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, that was powers appropriated to the president by Congress.
It's power. So it's not powers enumerated. It's powers that Congress ceded to the president. Because under the they ceded it. They didn't enumerate it because the Constitution enumerated it with Congress.
That's what I'm saying. They said he can have it. You can go ahead and use these tariffs.
Oh, I thought you said enumerated.
Oh, no,
appropriated. Yeah. They gave the power away to the president. Now, as a fundamentalist, as a fundamental constitutionalist, I think that that's wrong. I think Congress should have the power to impose taxes, but it works in my argument for this time, so I'll let it pass. But I think Congress has the ultimate authority to tax, and I think Congress should codify them, but they already have by ceding the power to the president.
Man, you know what's so funny though? Like, people like actually think these countries got any type of real economic advantage against us. Like, hold on, no. Like, bro, think about it. There's people in the chat, and we won't give them any like light now right now, but there's people in the chat that literally think, well, we're hurting our trade relationships, bro.
I saw that.
Depend on us for trade
family relationships.
They depend on us. So I'm sorry, but that's why they bent the knee when we invoke tariffs on them, because they know that they need our business. They need our consumer economy. We don't really need
them. Let me point that out. Let me point to an anecdote to that points out. No. So let me point something out to you. About 20 years ago, 30 years ago, most of the private jet market, i.e. the millionaires and billionaires that needed private jets, I think 85% of it was in the United States. At now, it's about 45%. So over the years, other countries have benefited and become more economically prosperous than the United States. So now the market is everywhere. Like, think about that. Money has left the United States at such a high rate. The American dollar has left at such a high rate that we're creating millionaires and billionaires in other countries.
Sure, we giving jobs away in other countries. Like, F it.
Yes, that's your trickle down economics that everybody loves to fucking hate on. That could be Americans.
But no, we want cheap electronics and immigrants to pick cotton and fruit.
Remember, S.E.T. Remember, the average, the 1% is getting bigger and bigger. The rich are getting richer and richer. Yet the share of the amount of rich people is getting more and more diverse across the world. So the rich people, it's not that they're losing money. There's just more billionaires being created, more millionaires being created around the world, taking advantage of people. And those could be Americans. Those could be Americans that are millionaires and billionaires, or at least just middle class.
Yeah, that's true. But all right, let's get back to it.
301s, Congress did give the president authority to put on tariffs. So what we're going to do is the 122s are a bridge for the 150 days. And then primarily with 301s, USTR will do studies, and those are country studies. And we'll see, we will switch over to increase 301s. And I can tell you at Treasury, our estimate is that using these increased authorities, the temporary bridge of 122 for 2026, the tariff income is virtually unchanged.
So are you saying that these tariffs are going to be permanent and that you think you have the legal authority to make these tariffs permanent? The 15% tariffs?
Again, not the 15, Kristen. The 15 is a 150-day authority. What we have the ability to do is to do studies, and the 301s primarily, but also the 232s.
So if I could just quickly explain how they got to work around, well, how they got to work with the Section 301. Now, under Section 301 of the Trade Act, the U.S. can investigate unfair trade policies done by other nations. Now, the person who runs this investigation is our U.S. Trade Representative, which is Jameson Greer. And, you know, that's the guy you usually see next to Scott Bessent when they're talking about trade deals. But yeah, that guy's going to run an investigation to see if there's any unfair trade policies. And he's going to be the one to bring the case to say that if we need tariffs on these countries because of their trade policies or their trade tactics.
Can move back up to the previous tariff level. And since President Trump's first term, the 301s and the 232s have proven very resilient. They've survived more than 4,000 legal challenges.
And let me just zoom out. Is the goal to make tariffs writ large permanent?
The goal is to reshore American industry and
there we go.
Unfair trade practices.
All right, let me ask you, because obviously one of the questions is about potential refunds. The president didn't say whether he's going to refund what's been estimated to be about 100. Let me ask the question. Let me just ask the question, because it's about $134 billion in revenue. You told me in September, quote, we would have to give a refund if the Supreme Court ruled against the tariffs and decided that was necessary. FedEx is now suing the administration for tariff refunds. If the court,
which is hilarious, by the way, because I mean, you guys are still going to be paying tariffs. And it's kind of funny because it's like, you know, the Supreme Court didn't say Trump had to refund the tariffs. They didn't say that. They said that we're going to leave it to the lower courts. And if these companies want to sue for it, then go ahead. But it's kind of funny to sue for something that you're going to be paying again.
You know what's funny? FedEx. You know what's funny, S.E.T?
What's up?
Is they act like FedEx suing for all these refunds or businesses suing are somehow going to make things cheaper for Americans. No, you're just going to let FedEx get more money. Yep, they're not going to be like, you know what, we're going to decrease our shipping costs. We're going to decrease our shipping costs. Yeah. And
Once
like
again,
it's fucking hilarious.
I keep
But they're
telling that the Dems
simping.
be working for the corporate elites on accident. They don't even know
Yes,
it,
bro. They don't want to listen. If they would just listen to you, Set, like
bro.
bro.
I be
Is
spot on with it.
is your credit score 730?
Man, shoot, I'm working on it. I'm close though.
Yeah,
But bro,
I'm not surprised. I'm
because
not surprised because you are probably one of the most understanding persons of economics that I've like talked to, like strangers that I've talked to. Most people do not understand it. And it's very simple if you really just look at cause and effect.
literally, that's all you got to do. And like and the problem with this right here is that bro, a lot of people like think they know business, but no, you only know your industry. You don't really know like economics. You know the economics that go down to your industry, but not like the macroeconomics that work into like everyday prices
Well,
and all
there
that.
economics, so you can't know economics. And I mean, if you know economics, you know you don't know everything.
Bro,
You
you don't know a damn thing.
yeah, once you it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. The more you learn about economics, the more you realize you don't know shit about economics. Because economics in reality is just human psychology.
Yep.
Because things can happen outside of what the quote unquote rules are, and people can't explain it.
Yep.
Why? Because people all vote with their dollars, and trying to measure human emotion is impossible.
Yep. That's why businesses make projections.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get back to
Mr. Secretary, is the administration prepared to offer those refunds?
Well, Kristen, let's be clear here. The Supreme Court remanded the refunds back down to a lower court. There will be a 42-day period before that even happens, and then we will see what the lower court says, and we will follow what the lower court says to do.
So, meaning if the lower court says that you do have to issue these refunds, the administration is prepared to issue refunds?
We will follow the ruling of the lower court, Kristen.
And your reaction to this?
I doubt it. I ain't gonna lie. They're gonna appeal the hell out of that.
Nah,
They're gonna drag it for
send that
like
back to the
5
Supreme Court.
years.
I think here's the thing, Seth.
Mhm. No,
I
Donald
wish
Trump
you-
already said what he's gonna do. He's like, no, we're gonna have to litigate it. It's gonna take like 5 years. I'm like, oh, this man's about to drag it.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats do that to us all the time. So fuck it.
True.
Fuck it.
I ain't mad at it. It's just that I already know the strategy. And if you think these guys are gonna get their money without a fight, oh, bro, they might lose it. They might actually lose. Actually, hold on. They'll be paying tariffs while fighting for what? Money that
Tariff.
Yeah, fighting for tariff money. That's tough.
That's tough. You know
That's
what probably will happen? You know, the best case scenario is they
win
might
the
get
money
an
and then go straight to tariffs.
no. So the tariffs that are imposed on them, they might subsidize those tariffs for a set amount of time until they get it back. They're not going to get their money back.
Nope.
Like what's going to happen, because you pointed it out already, is they've reinstituted the tariffs under a new law. And so FedEx, for example, say FedEx is suing for $100 billion, which they're not, but I'm trying to make it equal or make it understandable. They might say, you know what? We have a 15% tariff that is legal. We just will subsidize it to you for as long as it takes to get to $100 billion. You good with that? So they're not going to get any money. They're just not going to collect the money for $100 billion
for a little bit. Yeah, let them recoup some of that
and make them whole. Because that's all the courts are about, is making people whole. If you're whole, you have a moot case.
Yeah, true.
FedEx case?
Well, I'll point out a lot of things. The CEO of FedEx is on the U.S.-China Business Council, which I find very interesting because, China is the largest payer of U.S. tariffs. So, take that for what you will. And the other thing, too, is why don't we see if these corporations, I think all these corporations should come out and tell everyone, the CEO of FedEx, you should have him on your show and have him explain how he's going to get the money back to the consumers if he, in fact, pass those costs along.
Because he's not going to.
Let me ask you, broadly speaking, this speech was historic because it was the longest State of the Union address in history. It was also the first State of the Union address, according to our research, that was delivered against the backdrop of a partial government shutdown. Of course, as you know, Mr. Secretary,
Oh my
the
God.
Department of Homeland Security currently shut down over this battle over reforms to ICE. Now that the president has delivered his State of the Union address, do you think there can be a deal to reopen the government? And is the president willing to make some concessions to Democrats to make that happen?
Well, we'll have to see, Kristen.
Why should we?
The Democrats and the party have shut down. They were responsible for the longest shutdown in government history. It brought our GDP down.
I mean, they were literally the ones voting no for, I don't know, military pay, government pay, SNAP benefits. They were the ones voting no while blaming the Republicans.
Hold on.
And then the
Seth,
Democratic Party
the
just,
segment,
well, I ain't gonna lie, y'all just followed along like some dumbasses. I'll be real with you.
at the beginning of the segment, she said, Republicans have the majority in the House, so why blah, 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 blah. So who's in control? Is it the Democrats or is it the Republicans?
No. This was I'll be real with you. That was like the most dumbest argument ever. When we said, all right, so why won't you guys vote yes, open the government? They hit us with the, oh, well, Republicans control the Congress, the Senate, and the executive. Bro, what does that have to do with the fact that you're voting no to keep the government shut down? I mean, that kind of goes against your point, because if we control it, then what the fuck are we even asking for your vote for? Damn.
Exactly. Because like it's not a simple majority. When they filibuster, you need 60 votes or 55, something like that. It's more than a simple majority, which I don't presume to understand all the rules of Congress, but I do understand that when 51, 52, 53 Republicans vote yes on something, and there's 100 senators, that is a majority, and that is their extent of their control. If that's not enough, then it's not enough.
I mean, honestly, the shutdown should have been the biggest proof that, the Democrats actually do have to participate in this thing we call the constitutional republic, the representative democracy. You kind of got to participate or nothing happens.
Or hear me out, Set. We just need to get rid of Democrats and fucking put more Republicans in so they can't stonewall us, so that we can actually get the fucking mandate we need to fix this fucking country. Come on, Republicans. Fucking go out and fucking vote. Win seats. Stop being so defeated. Stop being so shattered. And your life would get better.
I feel you on that one. All right,
that's a call to action for all the actual Republican voters out there. Go fucking vote for your Republican senator.
In the fourth quarter, between 1% and 2%, they've shown over and over again, they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the economy. They want what they want. And it'll be up to the president to negotiate with them.
Well, but I guess the question is, and some Democrats say that the White House hasn't been negotiating. How long do you think this shutdown is going to last? Republicans are in control of both chambers and the White House.
Again, you're in control, but are you going to say, Kristen, are you saying that Republicans should break the filibuster?
Well, no, you tell me. Do you think Republicans should break the filibuster?
You are not.
Nah, you first, because I mean, if you Dems agree, F it, we'll go along with it. We just don't want to hear no complaints on the back end about how, we're acting like dictators. That's all.
You are not in control. I published a Washington Post op-ed saying that Republicans should break the filibuster because the Democrats have said that they were going to do it. If it weren't for Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, who the Democrats sent home, they would have broken it in President Biden's term. So, in game theory, when you have a bad actor who is repeatedly been a bad actor, you should move first. So I actually think we should. I think we should do it for the SAVE Act, and I think we shouldn't let the Democrats shut down the government again.
Damn.
Mr. Secretary, you also sit on the National Security Council. I do want to ask you about Iran.
Notice how she didn't answer?
Address that tonight. We know that.
I mean, what answer could you honestly give? He kind of cooked her on that. It's like, and come on now, you don't want to be the Dems sitting there going like, the Republicans should break the filibuster, bro. You're gonna get crucified and when she get back.
It's almost like it's an argument over should the government be open or not. Democrats say no, and somehow that's the Republicans' fault.
Yep. No, literally, no, bro. They're about to blame us for the DHS shutdown, even though the Democrats are the ones saying we want to shut it down because we can't touch ICE. And then they'll find, and you know, as Akeem Jeffries already say, oh no, the Republicans are shutting down DHS. Bro, you guys are the ones that are shutting it down, but because you can't get away with ICE, oh, it's the Republicans. But the Republicans are voting yes. Y'all the ones voting no. How's it them?
And someone just came in the comments and was like, that just shows them Republicans can't govern. You can't govern ungovernable people that literally are just obstructionists. No, you can't.
Hold on. Like, isn't it kind of crazy that he's blaming the people who are trying to govern and not the people who are holding up the government?
Right.
Isn't that wild? Like, the people who are voting no to govern the government, voting no to fund the government, they're the ones that is doing governing right? Are you hearing yourself?
Oh, man. I just, it hurts, man. I just got off a debate with a fucking TikToker. And I was talking, bro, I didn't believe you. Like, I thought you were being a little dramatic when you said they just fucking mute you and hang up on you. Yeah. Holy fuck.
It's like the rudest thing ever. It's like, hey, yo, is y'all seriously acting like this? Like grown ass men, grown ass women,
crashing out and just no. All right, answer. No, mute.
Bro. Oh no, the best. I think the best one is where they sit there and they read out support while you're trying to make your argument.
Bro,
that is wild. Right okay, so what I'm trying to explain to you. Oh, thank you, Lisa, for the gift. Thank you, Johnny, for the gift. Okay, I'm trying to explain my point. Oh no, I'm calling out my people right now. I'm like, whoa, I thought we were